when they're sending ideas and I get to hear them, I'm just like giddy like a fan. Like, what did you just say? That's great.
This season is set 15 years after the events of Fallout New Vegas. And one thing we talked a lot about is that in the Fallout world, things would not stay static.
That game, maybe more than any of the other games in the franchise, is sort of defined by the factionalism, the choices, the way it's all going to work out.
Obviously, you end season 1 with the tease that we're heading towards New Vegas, and I think that the fact that that's in season 1 must mean that you'd planned kind of all along that that's where things were going to head. At what point did you decide we need to kind of point this thing towards New Vegas, and what made you want to do that?
I think the decision with the first season with the series to center it in Los Angeles, which for us was just a delicious bit of irony. Here you have the Hollywood assholes doing an adaptation of a beloved game. Let's set it in Hollywood. Seemed perfect, but so much of the power of the games for me is the regionalism of them, right? And it's the first question I think for all the kids. Where is it set? Right, setting in Los Angeles, but knowing that it's the road trip of it all. It's the journey. For me, my favorite thing in the games to do is explore. Right, you sort of look at that distant mountain range. You're like, okay, I'm off I go. Let's get there. And of course, the next place over the hill from Los Angeles, it just happens to be an iconic part of the franchise. So it was irresistible.
Nice. And is the fact that the games already have already made New Vegas, is that like the ultimate kind of previs to have it all made and you can walk around it and see, oh, maybe we'll shoot something here?
We had an aggressive schedule on the first season for reasons too boring to contemplate, but we had to get going kind of quickly. One of the most amazing things about working with Todd and the team at Bethesda, where you have the worlds, often with adaptation you're working from a book, or you're adding so much to it. With a game, in some ways, it's already all there. Everything is all there, and in some cases we would take assets directly from Todd and the team and take them and just start printing them and putting them to work. So it was an amazing opportunity and boost to kind of bring these things into the real world, the fact that they've already been so beautifully realized in the games.
I have seen some great side-by-side stuff of like, here's this bit in the game and here's this bit in the show, and look how closely
hopefully
they've
we got
matched
it right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a challenge, and the production designer, Howard Cummings, and his team, they just incredible job. And I think it's both a blessing and a curse when you're doing this. Is like in season 1, the vault, but they weren't specific to vaults you had been in. And when you go to New Vegas, players have explored there, so they have a different expectation. I think they just did an incredible job making it come to life and doing so much of it like for real, right? There's Freeside, there's the Strip, there's the stuff. It's really, really incredible. Like to go to the sets and see them, like, oh my God, yeah. One
thing that's cool is, the scope kind of starts expanding. You start heading towards things. You start kind of pulling in factions that people recognize from the games and stuff like that. Is that fun, or is that kind of a challenge as you're kind of you're moving closer to things that people have pre-existing conceptions of?
Well, it's a challenge, but it's also we approach it with excitement because it's an opportunity to bring things that we love from Fallout New Vegas, the game, to life with real actors. And so one of the interesting things about adapting this season is we always chose to set our show after the events of the games, in part because we always knew, Jonah, Todd, Graham, and I always discussed that we didn't want to do a direct adaptation of any single Fallout game because of the fact that every player makes different choices and has a different experience of the game, so there actually is no way to do a faithful, quote-unquote perfect adaptation of a single Fallout game. And so we set our story after, so we had some narrative, the ability to tell a new story within the Fallout world. This season is set 15 years after the events of Fallout New Vegas. And one thing we talked a lot about is that in the Fallout world, things would not stay static after 15 years. This is a world of warring tribes, warring factions, constantly jockeying for power, trying to kill each other. Things would not remain exactly as, any player left off Fallout New Vegas, but so we tried to draw from the game, and we hope that what viewers see is that we tried to be very intentional about where we change the game. So when you, say, encounter a broken robot, we hope that viewers see, oh, that implies story. how did this robot get in this horrible state? And things like that. That's just an example, or you saw in the trailer what happened to the Kings. So we're hoping that people can sort of fill in the gaps and that they think that it's filled in a fun way. But that was our intention with the narrative decisions.
And do you have any examples on the flip side of that where you were like, oh, we love this in the game, but we are going to change it. We do have to kind of twist this bit, or is there any points there?
Scale changes some, right? When you got to people actually have to walk through it in larger numbers. So sometimes scale might change a bit, and Howard would always apologize. He'd be like, "Hey, I made this hallway a little bigger." I'm like, "Dude, you don't need to apologize." I made this door. He needed this round thing for the vault, and he's like, "So I made this unique door shape up." And I was like, "I didn't even notice. You're fine."
Can you point to anything in season 2 that you did kind of have to step in, or kind of you put your stamp on in particular?
Well, usually, look, they do such an incredible job. It's great. I'm blessed to work with them. And, we talk about overarching stories and where we're going to go. We talked about locations. Okay, what's this journey? Where to? Because the world is often a main character. But Graham and Geneva and Jonah, the whole team of writers and everybody just do such an incredible job. It's when they're sending ideas and I get to hear them, I'm just giddy like a fan. What did you just say? That's great. Well, I'll be like, okay, what did you say? We need to drill down on that and see if we can make it work. Because you just, you said something that it expands from this one kernel of an idea to what else is it touching in the Fallout world.
Yeah.
And one thing I've seen a lot of chatter about is, the fact they're going to New Vegas means they have to decide what the canon ending was for 3 and for New Vegas. And what's your guys' take on that?
Turns out, no. I think one of the most delicious ideas that Geneva and Graham and the rest of the team came up with for season 2, knowing that that game, maybe more than any of the other games in the franchise, is sort of defined by the factionalism, the choices, the way it's all going to work out. I'm old enough now to have seen that there is no definitive ending to anything in the real world, right? You have these factions rise and fall and all these sorts of things. So this delicious idea that when we're encountering Vegas 10 to 15 years after the events of the game, every faction thinks they won. And that's how the real world works, right? There is no end. There is no definitive happily ever after. I think it's one of the things that the whole franchise has to say. It's one of the things that defines Fallout is it's set after the end of the world. And yet what you're watching is all these different worlds being ushered into existence. For me from the beginning, it's actually not about the end of the world. It's about the beginning of a whole new world. So we took that ethos and kind of applied it to New Vegas. I think it's done with love and with respect, and hopefully everyone who played the game will feel that love in the series.
One thing, it's kind of not a bait and switch, but you're looking for New Vegas stuff, and then Kumail Nanjiani comes in as his character, and it's I've just come from the Commonwealth, and it's hang on, I wasn't even thinking about Fallout 4. And I love that dynamic that Maximus has with Kumail's character. What was that like playing that? It looked really fun. I love even from the little non-verbal little hello that you have with him as well.
Yeah, no, it's what a really, really, really talented actor and writer, and filmmaker himself. I mean, I think that all of our guest stars, coming onto the show, especially when we have this ability to build everything out, Dana Pink and the costume design, and Howard Cummings, the scenic designer. It's really amazing to see them come in and really knock it out of the park. My experience of working with Kumail was just so fun because he was just excited as I was. You know what I mean? Seeing him try on certain things, and get into the armor with me, it was really fun to see it through. It reminded me of what I go through, but seeing it with someone else, it made the experience a little richer for me. But of course, also for the character, we've only had Maximus's chapter of the Brotherhood so far in our first season, and coming into season 2, having different chapters, but also Kumail come in. These other perspectives that really give more perspective, scope of the world, rather, I guess. It really helped to develop the things that, I'm doing with my imagination to get invested in the world.
Yeah. Where do you think Maximus's head is at the start of this season? Because his head does seem to be turned quite quickly by the different ideology and way of doing things that Kumail kind of presents.
Yeah, it's I think that Kumail, his character sort of represents a little bit of the ideal that he had when he first would have been a part of the Brotherhood of Steel. You know, there was those beautiful shots of the T-60 as he had gotten out of the refrigerator, you know, in our first season, that you know, so backlit, it looks like a god. You know what I mean? But it is that's sort of the gravitas of the Brotherhood of Steel. This, like, you know, like everyone else is just walking. You know, here we are, you know, taking every bit of old world tech we can find and keeping it for ourselves. But you know, it's this heightened community, that this faction that really, I don't know, it can express so much outwardly. It's so much strength, so much, yeah, I mean, it's the knights. I mean, it gives awe to Lucy the first time she sees the suit, you know? But I'm like forgetting the question. Getting so wrapped up in it. But where's his head at?
Yeah.
He's been skewed by his experience, the shared experience that we've had from season 1, thanks to this chance encounter with Lucy, where, you know, I think he's reinvesting into that conversation he's been having in his head since his childhood in the Brotherhood of Steel, of like, you know, where do I fit into all of this, and if I can get along with this guy, maybe this is right for me. And as we go further into the season, we get to see where this takes him.
Geneva, you mentioned before the screening yesterday that the cast that you've got, you particularly went out and found people who could do that kind of tonal shift, like the really dark stuff and the really funny stuff. I mean, how did you go about casting for that, and were you aware that that was what they were looking for? Right?
Well, we largely work through an auditioning process, and we're just blessed that actors are willing to do that. And you know, for example, Aaron, you know, we looked at many actors, and just Aaron was the obvious choice, and just Jonah and Graham and I were over the moon when we saw your audition come in, because it was by far the most interesting. In addition to the fact that Aaron was clearly able to do those pivots between comedy and drama. So, which I now say comma. Yeah, you know, it's the hybrid.
You know, I don't know that, like, I always look for those things in work. I mean, there's something that always, I mean, I'm a theater trained actor. You know, there's a physiological science behind why Shakespeare made the first halves of his plays comedies and the second half dramas, because as we open ourselves up laughing at something, and with whatever that breath is doing, it also leaves us vulnerable to the blows. You know, so that duality of the experience is something that I always look for in work, and I just always found, whether Shakespeare, Tennessee Williams is the same. I mean, it's, you know, Blanche Dubois talking about, like, well, money goes, and then you realize later, you're like, oh no, she has a problem. You know, that it really, though, there's a science to it a little bit. So I always am looking for that in work, but also I just feel so lucky that Graham and Geneva have had this elegant way of capturing this tone that supports them both so well. But yeah, it's so fun to investigate. It's like you never get bored.
Just final thing from me, I saw you guys got like a nice, really early renewal for season 3, which was great. Are you guys already at work on that, or is this kind of get in the way of?
Yeah, how tired are you? How tired are you, Geneva?
Yes, we're lucky enough to be at work on it already, and it's been a total blast.
Todd, I saw a quote from you from a little while ago, I think, saying that you had a 1-pager for Fallout 5. I was wondering, has it spread? Have you got 2 pages on it now? How's it going?
We are working on it. That's what I could say.